The engine of my old car roared to life, its headlights piercing the darkness ahead. It was a moonless night, and the pitch-black highway stretched before me like an endless abyss. My heart thumped nervously as I gripped the steering wheel, ready to embark on a journey that I had hoped would be uneventful. Little did I know that the road ahead would take me on a terrifying detour into the unknown. I had always heard the rumors about this highway, tales of strange happenings, unexplained disappearances, and encounters with the supernatural. But like any other urban legend, I had dismissed them as nothing more than campfire stories meant to frighten the gullible. Tonight, however, those stories seemed to take on a more sinister hue. The radio crackled with static as I searched for a familiar station to ease my nerves. As I scanned through the frequencies, the signal inexplicably kept jumping from one station to another, as though something was interfering with the broadcast. Shaking off the eerie feeling, I settled for a faint, distant voice singing an old, haunting melody. It was oddly comforting in its strangeness, a beacon in the darkness that offered some semblance of company. Miles passed by, and the isolation of the night weighed heavily on me. The only source of light was the unreliable glow of my car's headlights, casting eerie shadows on the roadside trees. It felt as though the night itself was watching, waiting to reveal its malevolent secrets. My eyes grew heavy, fatigue pulling at me like an invisible force. I considered stopping at the next rest area to stretch my legs and rejuvenate, but the fear of encountering something sinister in the desolate night dissuaded me. I thought pressing on would be the best choice, the quicker I'd reach civilization. However, the road seemed to play tricks on me. The landscape began to warp, and the same landmarks appeared repeatedly, as though I were caught in a never-ending loop. Panic bubbled within me, and I tried to focus on the road ahead, but my surroundings were becoming increasingly unfamiliar. Suddenly, the headlights flickered, and my heart skipped a beat. The engine sputtered, and the car came to a grinding halt. Panic surged as I desperately tried to restart the engine, but it was no use. I was stranded in the darkness, miles away from any signs of life. A foreboding feeling of being watched washed over me. Glancing into the rearview mirror, I caught a glimpse of something pale and faceless lurking in the shadows. My breath hitched in my throat as I turned around to see nothing there. Was it just my imagination playing tricks on me, or was there something sinister lingering in the darkness? Summoning my courage, I decided to venture out of the car and look for help. The moment I stepped outside, a cold wind howled around me, carrying with it an unsettling whisper that seemed to call my name. Fear gnawed at my resolve, but I couldn't stay stranded in the middle of nowhere. I walked for what felt like an eternity, each step accompanied by the eerie sounds of creaking branches and distant laughter. The road seemed to stretch endlessly, with no sign of life or civilization in sight. My mind was playing tricks on me, and I felt like a puppet being led by unseen hands. Finally, in the distance, a faint light flickered like a distant star. My heart leaped with hope, and I picked up my pace, praying that it was a sign of help. As I got closer, I saw an old, dilapidated gas station standing like a forgotten relic of the past. Relief washed over me as I approached the station, but the uneasy feeling still lingered. The place seemed abandoned, with an old, rusty sign swaying gently in the wind. The lights inside were dim, casting long, eerie shadows on the peeling wallpaper. I hesitated but knocked on the door anyway. No response. I tried to peer inside, but the darkness obscured everything. I was about to turn away when I heard a faint voice behind me. "Lost! Traveler!" Startled, I turned to find an elderly man standing there, his eyes glazed over like he was seeing something beyond this world. He wore old-fashioned clothes that seemed out of place in this time. Yes, my car broke down," I stammered, my voice shaky. "Can you help me?" He gave me a sad smile. "I'm afraid you're not the first to find yourself here, and you won't be the last. This place is a crossroad of sorts, a limbo between the worlds." My heart pounded in my chest, and I felt a shiver run down my spine. I tried to make sense of his cryptic words, but it was all too surreal. He continued, "You have two choices, young one. Either you find your way back to your world, or join the many others who are lost here forever." I wanted to run, to escape this nightmare, but something held me back. It was as though an invisible force had trapped me in this twilight realm. As I stood there, the echoes of distant laughter grew louder, and I realized I was not alone. Shadows danced around me, and the old man's form flickered like a dying candle flame. In that moment, I knew I had crossed paths with something otherworldly, something that thrived in the darkness. With newfound determination, I ran back to the road, desperate to find my way out of this nightmarish place. The landscape seemed to twist and warp around me, and I felt a suffocating sensation of being lost in time and space. Then, I saw it. A glimmer of hope. A faint ray of moonlight broke through the clouds, illuminating a familiar landmark in the distance. I followed it like a beacon, praying that it would lead me back to the real world. Finally, my car came into view, and I rushed toward it with a surge of relief. Without looking back, I jumped inside, turned the key, and the engine roared to life. The headlights cut through the darkness, revealing the familiar road ahead. As I drove away, the echoes of the haunting melody from the radio still lingered in my mind, a haunting reminder of the night's harrowing events. I knew that I had narrowly escaped the clutches of something beyond comprehension, something that thrived on the fear and darkness of the midnight highway. From that night on, I vowed never to venture into the unknown without caution, for there are realms hidden in the shadows that can forever change those who dare to tread upon their mysterious paths. And if you ever find yourself driving on a desolate road at the witching hour, beware, for the midnight highway may claim you as its next lost soul.